Today we're going to learn a little bit about how 4-H and the engineering process are related. So what is engineering? Well, according to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, engineering is the work of designing and creating large structures, such as roads and bridges, or new products or systems by using scientific methods through the application of science and mathematics. When engineers are working on a new product or system, they use the engineering process. There are 5 steps to this process. First is to ask. This is where you identify and research a need. Maybe there's a problem that you need to help get a solution to, or it could be just improving on a current system. So asking is the first step in the process. Next is to imagine. This is where we're going to brainstorm and develop possible solutions to the need that we identified. This could be an actual product that'll solve something. It could be a process or a system that needs to be put in place. But here is where the creativity gets flowing. The next step is to plan. This is where you gather all the materials that you're going to need, and you're going to develop your prototype, which could be a sample of what's going to be coming with your product, or it could be a smaller version that's already ready to test. The next step is create. Here's where we take our design, our prototype, and we're going to test and evaluate. We're going to see if it will solve the problem that we're trying to work on. Does it meet the need that we identified in the very beginning? And if not, we move to step 5. Improve. So here is where we can take our prototype, redesign it, modify it, and then retest it to see if it makes a solution. So this process can go on and on until we develop the final product, system, or item that is going to meet the need and that we need it to use. So how are 4-H and the engineering process very similar? Let's look at them together. So the beginning of the engineering process is to ask. Identify a need. 4-Hers often use the 4-H motto, to make the best better. And this reminds us of this part of the engineering process, where you identify a need and then figure out how you can make something that makes it better. The second part of the engineering process is to imagine. So this is where we think about one of our H's being head. We use our heads as 4-Hers to clearer thinking. And so as you're trying to imagine how you can develop that solution, you are using that head. The next step in the process is plan. We know that as 4-Hers, we pledge our hearts to greater loyalty. And a lot of times when we are in the planning stage of the engineering process, we are very loyal to our project, devoting tons of hours and resources to make sure that we're developing this. And so using your heart to remain loyal to a project does fit in with the 4-H's. The fourth step in the process is create. This is made just especially for 4-Hers who love hands-on projects and who pledge to use their hands to larger service. Many engineering projects that come out of the process are things that make our lives better. And finally, improve. As a 4-Her, we pledge our health to better living. And just like we were talking about using our hands to create something that's going to improve our lives, that works perfect with the 4th H of health. Think about all of the products that you use and your family uses, or systems that we have. Communication systems. Many of us, the computer you're watching this on right now, those things have helped to improve our lives. And that's come about because of the engineering process. So the 4 H's of head, heart, hands, and health very easily match up with the 5 steps of the engineering process. So now that you've learned just a little basic information about engineering and the engineering process, think about how can you use engineering in your life. It could be something just as simple as when you write your 4-H speech. You go through the planning phase, you go through the creation phase, and then sometimes you have to modify, right? And so there's things like that that show us that we are beginning engineers early on in our 4-H careers. Some of you may go on to study engineering, and that is fantastic. We're going to need people like you to help keep improving the lives of our friends and family. And some of you may not, but the lessons you've learned through engineering type projects will stick with you throughout the rest of your life. So get out there and be creative and enjoy taking the engineering process and using it in your life.